Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM, and this is COVID-19 pandemic world news. This is supposed to be August 17th. I need to change that one. Anyway, the main topic of focus on this presentation is about COVID booster shots. Why do we need a COVID booster shot? When do we need to get the COVID booster shot? And who are the ones who should be in the first line to get the COVID shots? As you know, the FDA has already approved the COVID booster shot for immune compromised people. That means those people who are more susceptible to COVID infections, and they are the ones who have an approval to get the COVID booster shot. Let's look at some real data and see how it supports whether we should be considering COVID booster shots, and if so, when and who should be getting it. If you look at the heat map of the COVID across the United States, the entire state is covered with red, suggesting these are all hot spots all across the United States, with the exception of a few tiny regions in the central region in the north side. If you look at the number of cases in Florida, those cases have exceeded the numbers seen during the second wave and also during the summer peak. Florida had as high as 28,000 cases. It has come down to approximately 17,000 as of August 17th, that is today. And we see a similar story in Texas, California, and we don't know if this wave is going to move to other parts of the country. One of the important things that makes us be cognizant of the fact that the vaccines that we have, the ones we received in January and February, may not be as effective in preventing us from getting a COVID infection, especially the Delta variant. Because Israel did a study of people who had received a Pfizer vaccine in January, February, March, April, May, June, and they came up with the observation that those people who had received the vaccine, the overall protection against the COVID infection with the Delta variant was 39%. It was much lower in patients who had received the vaccine in January and February. As you can see, they had an overall 60%, and in the UK study, the Pfizer vaccine was almost a little more than 80% effective in COVID infections, and majority of them were Delta variant, whereas the AstraZeneca was approximately 60% effective. Keep that in mind. We're going to look at how effective are these vaccines at the present time in terms of preventing any serious infection, hospitalizations, and death. From the general observation here in the United States, people who have received vaccine are very protective against the serious illness caused by the Delta variant. The hospitalizations are very minimal, and the death rates are of a fraction of 1% among those who are vaccinated. But nonetheless, it always raises a question as how long is this immune response going to last? Because the Israeli studies showed the immune response comes down from the time you took it to a period 3 to 6 months beyond that. So let's keep that in mind. I have a chart here. Overall, they noticed among those people who had received the vaccine, like in the early months, January, February, and March, their overall protection rate was 39%, and their effectiveness in avoiding hospitalization was 88%, and avoiding severe infection was 91%. These two are pretty good numbers, but nonetheless, in terms of preventing the infection altogether, it was only 39%. And when they looked at the data based on each month intervals, as you can see, the blue one, which is January, the orange one is yellow. You can see those who received it in February had a 44% protection, whereas those who had received a vaccine in January had only 16% protection. Of course, this is only one study, and the UK study showed almost 80% protection against the Delta variant. But nonetheless, it underscores the fact that patients who have received vaccine 6 to 8 months ago are at an increased risk of getting COVID infection. Whether they get a serious infection or whether they need hospitalization, That's a different question altogether. Anyway, the FDA has recognized this in immune compromised patients and has actually officially approved the COVID vaccine booster dose for immune compromised patients, and they are also looking into data as to whether it can support vaccinating people who received vaccine several months before. In fact, France and Germany are already gearing up to give the booster doses in September and October. So this is nothing new. Booster doses we have been taking for ages as far as flu is concerned, and we get booster doses with most of the childhood vaccines. So this is nothing new, and it's a matter of when is the right time to take the vaccine as a booster dose. Now, talking about when is the right time, there are clinical studies going on at this time enrolling people into the booster dose studies. My major concern is there are a few million healthcare workers, frontline workers, who received their vaccines in December and January. We know the immune protection system is much less compared to those who received a vaccine, say, in April, May, or June. And should these people who are working in the front lines, in the intensive care units, taking care of these active Delta COVID patients, should they be getting booster doses, and how soon can they get the booster dose? Of course, there are challenges to giving a booster dose. Number one, it has not been approved by the FDA. It's only available in a limited research group. Number three, people may exploit this by giving false information to get a booster dose. But nonetheless, CNBC reported that more than 1 million people had already received the third dose. Not all of them were immune compromised, of course. So the main question is, when is the right time? I think this is the time for us to have a serious intellectual debate about the importance of a COVID vaccine booster dose, especially in healthcare workers, especially in frontline workers who are dealing with the acute COVID Delta patients, transporting them, checking them in the emergency room, working with them round the clock in the ICU. These are the people who need to get the extra protection, just like the immune compromised people who needed the extra protection. That is my thought on this topic of COVID booster shot. I think it is the time is now. It's the time to seriously consider this and get a fast track approval so that healthcare workers can work with confidence, taking care of these highly sick COVID patients with Delta variants. What do you think? I am Dr. NIK NIKAM. Thank you so much for watching this COVID-19 pandemic world news brought to you by Triple N Media. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you next time.